here at the park again. It's lunchtime, so it must be draw time. It is my favorite kind of day outside. It's gloomy, it's dark, there's dreariness in the air. I like it. So, today I'm going to be doing a Batman Beyond, Batwoman Beyond sketch, and reviewing the Batwoman story arc, as far as I can, because, the industry collapsed, or whatever, so, we'll talk a little bit about, what's happened so far in the Batman Beyond story. Alright, I've got about 40 minutes or so, give or take, and we'll see what we can get done. Let's get to work. So, as I jump into this video, a couple of disclaimers. I might jump around a little bit on topics. I promise you I have a point. And I will get to them as fast as I can. As efficiently as I can. So I want to talk a little bit about Batwoman Beyond in the Batman Beyond story arc. But in order to do that, I'm going to tell you a quick conversation I had with a friend of mine at work recently. He asked me, what is your least popular opinion, or your most unpopular opinion, I think is what the question was. And I was like, it's probably going to be the Beatles thing. So, if you love the Beatles, I'm sorry. I don't love the Beatles. I don't love the Beatles. They're okay. I get it. I get that people love them, and I understand that they have influenced all of the music that I really like, right? And I guess it's not fair to say that I don't hate the Beatles by any means. What I do have is a clear memory of not once being in the mood to listen to a Beatles album. And it doesn't really matter what era of Beatles you're talking about. I've never been able to get into their music, like not entirely. Hey Jude is fine. Everybody likes Hey Jude. And that's about it for me. That's about where it ends for me. But I respect them. That is probably the strongest thing that I feel for them, is a tremendous amount of respect. They have forever changed rock and roll. There will never be another band as popular as the Beatles were. It's impossible, I think, at this point, to ever have somebody replicate the amount of fame and recognition that the Beatles had. Now, understanding that I totally respect them, I can have respect for things that I don't necessarily like. Let me tell you a little bit about the writer for Batman Beyond. He's a good writer, I think. I mean, he's been doing it since probably longer than I've been alive. I know he's worked on titles like Superman. I think he did some Flash stuff. I'm sure he has. His name is Dan Jurgens, and he's written forever and about everything. My problem with him is that when he is not interested in a job, you can kind of tell. I don't remember bumping into his writing as much when I was younger. He wrote, like I said, I know he wrote some Superman. I think he's written some Flash. I feel like I saw his name on some Flash comics I used to read a long time ago, and I don't remember him talking so plainly back then. So I'll give you an example. A bad guy walks into a scene and he says something like, "I'm the bad guy," and that's how you know he's a bad guy. it just seems it's a little on the nose. Everything's kind of, spread out. Like there's not a whole lot of layers to his writing in terms of character development. I will move on to the book itself. Like I said, I don't think he's a bad writer. I wish I liked him more. I get if you are a huge fan of Dan Jurgens, that's cool. I get it. He deserves that respect. But he's not for me. The whole reason I got into collecting this Batman Beyond series was actually not because of the Batwoman story arc. It was because of the artist, Sean Chen. Now, you might not like the art of Sean Chen, and that's totally cool. I get it. That's kind of this whole discussion we're having here. But I found him to be probably one of the biggest inspirations for me in around the year 2000 or so, whenever I started collecting Iron Man. He was the reason I actually started collecting Iron Man. I fell in love with the way he drew technical things, mechanical things. He was an incredible artist. He still is. And I found his Instagram recently, and I saw that he was posting pictures of Batman Beyond, and I was like, wait, is he on that book? So I went out into my local comic book shop, and I bought all the issues that I could of his that he had worked on for Batman Beyond. He kind of fell off the radar for a while, and I was kind of bummed out about that, but super excited to see that he was working on something that I could easily find. So I started getting into Batman Beyond. There's only like 6 issues out, something like that, with his work on it, and that involved the Batwoman Beyond story. So Batwoman Beyond is it's a mystery. You're trying to figure out who she is in the story, and I'm gonna spoil it for you really quick. So if you don't want to know, just like skip ahead like 8 seconds or something like that. But 3, 2, 1, it's Nightwing's daughter. So now that you know who who that is, who Batwoman is, here's just a little critique I have about the way that this particular story was written. Again, my favorite Batman has always been the Batman that's been represented in the animated series. That's just Batman for me. I will always hear Batman as Kevin Conroy. I will always hear the Joker as Mark Hamill. That's just how it is. And I've got to live with that. And I'm fine with it. But in this story, Batman acts out of character according to how I think Batman should act. And that's kind of another problem I have with this storyline. So Bruce Wayne thinks that it's Barbara Gordon. And then this other character thinks it's another character. And it's neither of those characters, right? It's not who Batman thinks it is, and that's probably what bugs me the most, because I don't know if this is going to make sense, but as far as I can tell, Batman has not always been right, but he always knows when he's not right. He always knows, like, he may not know who it is, but he could certainly tell who it isn't. And I feel like he would know it's not Barbara Gordon. I feel like he would be able to tell, you know what, I'm a pretty good detective, and I may not know who it is, but I can tell you who it isn't. And he probably wouldn't be so stubborn about it being one person who it obviously couldn't be. So that kind of bugged me a little bit about the writing, but again, the art kind of pulls me in. That's probably my biggest reason for collecting most comic books that I have, is I love the artist. If I love the artist, you've got me for at least a few issues. If you can kind of keep the story interesting enough, I'll stick around. And I don't think this story is disinteresting. I actually think it's a pretty good story. I think it's an interesting way of putting these characters together. So Batman Beyond and Batwoman Beyond kind of have to come together and fight Blight, which was Batman Beyond's first villain from the cartoon. Is this a recommend? Yeah, I would recommend. I would check it out. Like I said, I keep my opinions a little close, like within reason. I'll never have a hard enough opinion to where I'll be like, you should never like this because I don't like it. Unless it's Nickelback. I would probably say that about like, oh, maybe you should check out Nickelback, see if you like it. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to anyone. Maybe a few people. Not everyone's nice to me. Anyway, so I would check out this book. It's a pretty interesting story as far as like you get to see Batman. He's got amnesia. I didn't feel like the big reveal of who Batwoman was hit me the way it probably should have, because I didn't know the character who it was revealed to be. I didn't know her. I didn't know what her connection to everyone was. I didn't know if it was a big deal or if it was like a natural progression for the character. I kind of jumped in, and I've heard that like it's not really fair to judge a book, or at least an entire series, if you just kind of jump in halfway through. But I feel like I feel like that's not really fair to not do that. You know what I mean? Like, every issue is somebody's first issue. I think Stan Lee said that, and you kind of have to write in such a way that and you can jump in at any issue, and it's not a problem. You feel like you fit right in, you're not missing anything, and you're not confused, and like certain things aren't lackluster because you didn't quite join in on issue number 1. You really shouldn't punish somebody for not being able to join you at the beginning. So real quickly, I'll talk about the industry collapse thing that I mentioned. So because of all the shutdown stuff, distributors were not able to get comic books out to comic book shops. So either comic book shops would have to close or do curbside with just old comics. Now, my local comic book shops have been figuring ways out to get around that stuff, right? So they'll post stuff on Facebook like, hey, if you're interested in these comics or these omnibuses or these older comics or whatever, this collection of comics, just let us know. We'll put them aside for you for curbside pickup. They'll do online sales and stuff like that, or auctions and stuff, or not auctions. What is it? Live sales. I feel like saying auction. I know it's not auction because it doesn't go to the highest bidder. It just goes to the first bidder. Anyway, live dibs. Because of all that, like there really hasn't been any new comics. You can look into something called Pencils Down, where basically writers and artists that work for the big two, Marvel and DC, were being told, hey, your projects are being put on hold either temporarily or indefinitely or whatever. And it's looking like what my hope is, and I'll talk about this in probably another video, but it's going to shape up the comic book industry a little bit. If you want to know the current state of the comic book industry, look up the New Warriors trailer on YouTube or something. Look up Marvel's New Warriors trailer. It is horrifying. It is god-awful. I spent some time thinking about what the term god-awful means, and I came to the conclusion that it is a level of awful that man cannot achieve on their own. It has to be some kind of god, like not even demigod, like Apollo. Something Apollo would do that is so awful that it could only be attributed to a god. It's god-awful. And if you want to see how bad, I don't know what Marvel's thinking. I won't get into it too much, but if you want a good laugh and then immediately feel really bad that something exists, check out the New Warriors. It looks like somebody lost a bet. I don't know. It's a mess. Anyway, so that's kind of what I was referring to when I said the industry kind of collapsed and whatever. Really what I meant is it's just not, I don't think it's going to be the same when it comes back. I hope it's not going to be the same when it comes back, and I hope that it comes back leaner and it sort of cuts the fat. Collapse was a strong word, I guess, but it's going to be different. I'm kind of excited about it, but I don't know, we'll see. So this drawing actually came out way better than I thought it would. I only had about 45 minutes, and I was like, I don't know if this is going to be enough time to really do something that I'm very happy with. And that's kind of the struggle with, or the challenge of these lunch sketches, is that I don't quite have the time to put all of my effort and all of my thinking ability into an entire piece in the time allotted on my lunch. But I was actually pretty happy with the way this came out. I think I'm getting used to having to rush through my decisions and trying to figure out how to put things together quickly and efficiently. I think this came out pretty well. I'm actually kind of surprised that not only did I have time to do a little bit of perspective, but the paint was, not it didn't feel too rushed to me, and the subtlety of color that I have always strived for, but never had the ability or the conviction to follow through on, actually showed up as well. So I was pretty happy with that. Overall, pretty happy with this painting. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys liked this video. And my big question at the end of this video is, what is your least popular opinion? Like, it doesn't matter what. You don't have to be as respectful as I am. Leave it down in the comments below. I will wait for you while you do it. I'll get some cereal later. I'm not gonna wait for you while you do it. Alright, so that is the video, guys. I will see you in the next one. Take care. Remember to like, subscribe, share, all that cool stuff that I really appreciate when you guys do that. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have the best day of your life, or at least a pretty good day. I will see you guys in the next video. Until that day, good luck, Godspeed.